interpretation.
Well,
did I change your mind
thank
at
you again,
all, or
Steve.
did I?
I thought it was a very good presentation.
Thank you.
And
Means
it
a lot
allowed us to bring up a lot of topics. You can find that these topics are all very tightly interconnected, right? And it's difficult to talk about one thing without bringing in a number of other items. I would encourage people to again consider that models, don't confuse models with reality. Models are what we use to try to describe reality, and the mathematics behind those models helps us, give very precise language as to what the model is. In regards to the question about, what happened before the Big Bang, there are valid Big Bang models that say that state that time was created at the moment of Big Bang. That is t equals 0 was where time was created. If you talk about time being as far as causality, as Hawking eloquently stated, if there are things that happen before t equals 0, they have no effect on what happens at t equals 0 or beyond. And so, or I should say, certainly beyond t0, they may have an effect on at t0. If that is indeed the case,
can I interject real quick? One possible
sure.
exception. If there was no actual t equals 0 such that there was anything before, there's a paper that I was sent, and I think I don't know who sent it to me. It was maybe Dr. Kroon sent it to me, but I was reading a paper on the Big Bounce where there is a small window where any prior existing universe of some kind could have had a minor influence on the initial conditions for our universe as today. So it was
that's why I omitted my. But that's why
did you send that to me, or did he? I don't remember. Who sent that to me?
I don't think I sent it.
I don't know. I've been talking to a lot of people on this particular topic. So, but on the Big Bounce, there's some, like you said, it doesn't get to t equals 0 because there's no mathematical singularity in that particular model. Right?
Yes.
Like in this model, there's no singularity.
And so you can either say that you use a model that says that time was created at t equals 0 in the Big Bang, or that things that are t less than 0 before the Big Bang have no impact on things after the Big Bang, no consequences, and therefore, as Hawking said, you might as well not cut them out of the theory.
Okay.
They no
Dr.
impact. So is it? It's a valid thing to wonder, but but not all questions have answers, and this may be one of those questions that is actually not valid, and the universe doesn't have an answer for.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. That's why it wouldn't be before the Big Bang. That's why. I mean, no matter what theory of time you subscribe to, A or B, it doesn't have any effect here. You don't. If there's a multiverse or something like that, it's not before the Big Bang. It's not with respect to us. So you can't say before. It gets into a lot more complexity that I'm willing to get into at this particular junction. But yeah, it's not before the Big Bang. But Dr. Kroon, what
so when someone asks what happened before the Big Bang, the answer is not even nothing. There was no before.
Right. That's what I said before. I don't even like these phrase, there was nothing before the Big Bang, because, again, it's just a nonsensical question to me. But let's kind of wrap it up here. Dr. Kroon?
Yeah. I mean, I agree with everything Landon said, and that's a good position to take if I understand correctly. But
yeah, you always want to agree with Landon for the most part. Unless it's philosophy, then you feel free to go after him.
Yeah, we have learned a lot, and the royal we. And we provided a rather broad and comprehensive presentation of the background that one would need to investigate further, even begin to understand things as complex, and no pun intended, as the singularity or the exact moment that the Big Bang started, when it was at t equals 0. And so we've opened up a broad spectrum of concepts that we could conceivably use in current and future research to inform our our studies of the universe at large and its origins. And so, in that sense, I'm I guess, an instrumentalist and a pragmatist and just an all-around science guy. And so, yeah, the bottom line is we got to tell Kyle that the answer is no, it's nonsensical. And just like saying what's colder than absolute zero or what's north of the North Pole or south of the South Pole. But you could have a lot of fun talking about it. And that's
I think that's a good way of wrapping it up. And maybe one of these days we'll get into the whole what happens at absolute zero, and even you can kind of go lower than absolute zero, but it's actually warmer than absolute zero. It's weird what happens right at absolute zero. Some of the effects.
Yeah, because it's trying to
pull it back. Negative flow, right? So absolute zero is absolute zero, but there is small things that you can actually mess with to get it to go less than absolute zero, but it's actually a warmer system. And heat always goes from warmer to colder. So, but that's a whole different ballgame too. But anyways, Athena, first of all, I do really want to thank you for coming on here. I know that, I don't know how often you do things like this. I've never seen you do any kind of on-air or interview or anything like that, so I'm very appreciative of that. I just happen to like your videos, and especially that one because it was so on point with what we were talking today, and I do hope that we can kind of coax you to come back. We have NonSequitur Show. We have my own channel that we have to do things on, and we talk about science a lot, so I can add you to our list when we have hangouts. You'll know about it, and you have free reign to come in and drop in on any of them. But what do you think so far, and what's your summation? And please tell them again how to find your stuff. And because I'm getting people your links, but they got to go subscribe to you guys. What's wrong with you? She's a supermodel, and she's brilliant. What the hell is wrong with you? I mean, come on.
Well, you're the best. This was so much fun. I definitely would love to come back and talk about some more stuff, like the double slit experiment. So, well, my overall gist from everything we spoke about today is the fact that we haven't collected any data from before the Big Bang happened would answer, my answer would be, yeah, it's a nonsensical question to ask if there was anything before the Big Bang because there's no observational data. But part of me starts to think about things that we don't understand, which is if there's alternate dimensions happening that we can't access, or something like certain animals that can't see color, but we know color exists. So moments like that make me think, maybe asking if there was anything before the Big Bang isn't really nonsense, So that's kind of where I'm at right now, but I think it's good to keep exploring this. I mean, it's kind of silly to say, but I'd love to obviously pick everyone's brains about that another time. But as far as what we do understand with math and the fact that there is no measurement of time or anything existing, any type of thing existing before t equals 0, then it would answer, the answer would be that, yeah, I mean, it's a kind of a nonsensical question to ask. So that's my overall summation. Yeah.
So I'm going to ask you a question, since you're involved in education, science education.
Yes.
What do you do when a kid comes up and says, doctor, what happened before the Big Bang? How do you respond to that child's question?
So I usually will say to them that right now we don't actually know. I usually will say we don't actually know, but we do know that there is an entire process that happened just after the Big Bang. So I encourage you to go into this field, to try and figure it out, to be part of all the teams, to research what Stephen Hawking was researching before he passed away, and try and come up with your own theory. That's usually what I'll do. Excellent
answer.
It is an excellent answer. So I'm gonna leave you with one last question, and this is gonna be a real quick one, and then Dave's gonna take us out. And by the way, stick around for a few minutes just afterwards if you can. So here's my question to you all, and what do you think? Start with Landon. Landon, do colors exist? And the correct answer is no. I'm going to tell you right here now. I'm just going to be, poison the well. But do colors exist, or is color realism a thing? The color irrealism.
I say perceptions of colors exist.
Why do you got to change the question, Landon? Do colors exist other than phenomenally in the brain? Do they exist ontologically in the universe? I can play this game too, trust me. Why does he got to think about this question?
Or I could just stop the whole thing now, Steve.
Yeah, come on.
I mean, okay, so Steve, you're claiming that colors don't exist.
We're gonna have a chat, Landon. I'm gonna. You know what? You know me. I don't care if people have PhDs. If I have a good argument, I'm gonna lay it out there. So we're gonna get back to you on that one.
So
Dr. Kroon,
I'm thinking about.
now he wants to
answer.
answer.
I'm thinking about your question. The reason why I'm thinking about your question is that if you don't understand how complex the question is that you're asking, you don't understand the question.
Well, that's why it is a complex question. It very much so is. But that's why I'm actually narrowing it down. And I'll even phrase it this way. Do colors exist other than just existing in your mind as a phenomenon that exists because of your brain's interpretation of the light being reflected or emitted from an object? Or is there an intrinsic property of colors that exist independent of our observations?
I would speculate that they do not exist independent of our observation.
Good answer. What about you, Dr. Kroon?
So I always like to define the terms of the question before answering it, so I know what I'm answering.
Got too many smart people in here.
And so I could say if you interpret color as an intrinsic property of the photon that's quantified via its wavelength, then we don't need to perceive it for it to exist. But then, playing devil's advocate, you could turn right around and say, "Well, that's wavelength, that's not color." And now we're into semantics.
Yeah, the color itself
into semantics.
In the brain.
So
that's not actually semantics. That's actually phenomenology.
Okay. Yeah, but it undermines the possibility of perception. And so I would say yes, the colors exist.
We're gonna have a talk.
Yeah.
Athena, how about you? Are you going to side with them? Or are you going to go with me on this one?
Yes, colors exist. That's all I'm going to say.
You know what? Can I change? I don't mind. I don't mind. I'll do it. You know I will.
Steve, actually...
I got Dave on my side. Dave, please tell me early. Hey, God, are you on my side? Dave?
Well, because Steve, you can't...
Steve.
He's ignoring me. Why is God not listening to me?
The only color I know for sure exists is purple. Just saying.
Purple's the one color that definitely doesn't exist. Even color realists say purple.
So I think hearing you ask the question, people discuss it.
All right, next time, guys.
The answer to your question that I think you're asking is no. It does not exist outside of the mind.
Right. That's the question I'm asking. Yes.
Right.
All right, so that's
like how I'm interpreting it as well, but it bothers me. We'll have to make a debate about this
question,
sometime.
Steve. Does the fact that we perceive it make it real?
Exactly.
No.
That's what I would have brought up.
No, because we perceive dreams, but dreams are not real either.
Dreams happen.
Well, the colors
happen.
The color. If you want to, see, here's the way I look at it. If you want to say that the color is because the brain's interpretation of the photon's energy, positing energy on the retina, okay. But the problem with that is it doesn't hold, because in a dream there's nothing hitting your retina, and we still see colors. It's a phenomenon that exists solely in the brain because the brain is interpreting electrical signals, and the way the brain does that is by producing a color that we have a phenomenon that exists, a phenomenology.
Wait, then where's the malfunction for those that are colorblind? Is that in the brain or is it in the eye? I don't actually know this, because then that would bring up an argument.
Well, the colorblind people, obviously they don't have the cone to see certain colors, right? Or there's some kind of physical damage, right? I don't know if they dream in color. You know what? I have no idea. That's a good question.
I know my neighbor is colorblind, and he's been a friend of mine for like 2 years, and he says that he doesn't notice anything different that would favor
I would think that you could still
neurological standpoint.
Right. I would look at it this way, and we could check this out, and we're going to be ending this in like 30 seconds, but I would look at it this way. If a person has been exposed to colors before, then their brain can interpret certain colors, and they know that what's supposed to look like. Because the brain is really good at filling in the blanks. So even though you can't visually see colors anymore, if you lost your sightness, then you wouldn't see a particular color. But if you're colorblind from birth, then I don't think that it's possible that you could see like the color green, because you know no reference to what green actually looks like. Do you?
Mm-hmm.
So
seems like a rational approach to me.
I was in a medically induced state of keeping me out of my mind because I had an extremely high fever as a child, and in that medical state, I perceived and experienced a color that I knew didn't exist on the color wheel.